Welcome to a deep dive where we unpack a collection of sources, articles, notes, research, really to extract the essential insights just for you. Today we're diving into excerpts from a series of books chronicling the entrepreneurial path of a man named Jay.
And our mission is to explore this journey, understand the challenges Jay faced, the lessons he learned, and critically, how his experiences can offer, valuable perspectives. Especially if you're on your own path as an aspiring entrepreneur. We have material spanning years of his career, right from the beginnings to, the later stage complexities.
So let's settle in and see what nuggets of wisdom and maybe some surprising facts we can uncover from this deep dive into his story.
Okay, digging into the material, it's clear the foundation of Jay's drive was laid incredibly early. The accounts describe his story starting long before the world knew his business, in a pretty modest neighborhood.
Right, that very spark of ambition we hear about. And the books quickly introduce a really significant influence right from the start, his grandfather.
Yes, the grandfather figure is, he's central to his early development. He's presented as his first role model, planting those initial seeds of ambition. We see how he instilled the value of hard work and, maybe even more importantly, perseverance. There's a quote from the sources that really stands out. "The only way to fail is to stop trying." And that wasn't just a saying, it clearly became a fundamental belief for Jay.
That's such a powerful anchor, isn't it? And it sounds like the lessons went beyond just putting in the effort.
Yeah.
His grandfather also taught him this philosophy about finding purpose. Captured in that line, every piece has a purpose. It's up to us to find it and bring it out. And that true mastery of skills came by doing, by trying and failing and then trying again.
Exactly. That concept of learning by doing was absolutely key. His very first exposure to the practicalities of business wasn't like in a classroom. It was right there in the family shop, a small corner store. The books describe him spending just countless hours there, getting hands-on experience managing inventory, keeping track of finances, dealing with suppliers. He was even encouraged to experiment with new ideas, like introducing products and promotions.
So he was cutting his teeth really early, immersed in the actual mechanics of running a business. And this seems to have deeply shaped his mindset even before any formal training. The material introduces this key concept from his early thinking. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Sort of framing challenges not as things to avoid, but as necessary stepping stones for growth.
Which is crucial because, his path wasn't just a straight line to overnight success. We learn he had an early tech startup while he was still in college. The sources describe it as a vital learning experience, maybe not a massive win, financially speaking, but absolutely crucial for getting practical experience in the real business world.
Right. Real world testing. And there was also that early exposure to the bigger stage, like attending a Silicon Valley summit as, a young person. The accounts say he felt incredibly out of place, basically a high school student among seasoned professionals. But it was clearly an eye-opening experience. He took away the lesson that no matter how big the stage, there was always room for new voices and ideas.
Yeah, and for anyone aspiring to start their own venture, this early phase of Jay's story really highlights a critical point. The foundation isn't just one big idea. It's more like a tapestry woven from influences, practical, sometimes uncomfortable experience, a willingness to, learn by doing, and actively seeking out perspectives, even when you feel completely outside your comfort zone.
That makes a lot of sense. So with that foundation of purpose and hard work laid in his youth, where did that drive first truly take shape on a larger scale? The sources point us towards Nourish, his first major successful venture.
Yes, and the books make a really significant point that Nourish wasn't just about commercial success. It was explicitly built with purpose right at its core.
They really highlight the driving principles: quality, community, sustainability, and innovation.
It sounds like it was deeply rooted in Jay's, genuine passion for helping others.
Absolutely. And the source material really stresses a crucial lesson learned during this phase: the importance of building trust and permission within the target market. It notes that people's choices aren't just rational decisions, they're intrinsically tied to familiarity, affinity, and trust. Nourish aimed to establish deep connections by genuinely aligning Jay's passion for helping others with the business itself.
So instead of just trying to push products, the focus was on providing unparalleled value. The books describe them going beyond mere transactions, intensely focusing on clients' needs and aspirations to forge authentic connections and build a truly loyal customer base. And how did they do that practically? Well, the sources mention specific actions like nurturing, informing, and captivating the audience through content and engagement, rather than relying solely on, conventional advertising. And they scaled the business not just through traditional franchising, but also through community initiatives. Things like nutrition workshops, scholarships for students passionate about sustainability, and even urban gardens in areas with limited access to fresh produce.
This part of his journey offers a really powerful lesson for aspiring entrepreneurs listening. Building something meaningful starts with a genuine purpose and a deep commitment to serving your audience. Trust and connection aren't just nice-to-haves. They are your most valuable currency. It's not just about the product you sell, it's about the impact you make and the community you build around it.
Okay, so we've seen the foundations and the building of a purpose-driven business.
Yeah.
But the sources also, they delve into the inevitable inner landscape of the entrepreneur, the doubt, the struggles, those moments described as hitting rock bottom.
Yes, the books definitely don't shy away from detailing those difficult periods. They describe Jay being engulfed in the hollowness, feeling overwhelmed by emptiness, and grappling with shame. Hitting rock bottom is described with a resounding thud. Pretty visceral.
And initially, his response was a common one for many entrepreneurs, a deep reluctance to seek help. It's described as being unwilling to burden them with the weight of his failures. It's that sense, I think, that you have to carry everything yourself.
But eventually, the realization dawned that assistance was needed. The sources mention the challenge this presented facing severed connections, perhaps due to past pride or a reluctance to appear vulnerable.
This period really hammers home that entrepreneurship isn't just about external hustle. Managing your inner world, your mindset, is absolutely critical. The books describe Jay incorporating practices like visualization and affirmations. They portray this as creating a resounding chorus of positivity internally, actively working to rewire the subconscious belief system to support success.
And crucially, he found the value of community again, but this time in a different form, a mastermind group. The sources call it an invaluable resource, providing not just support and encouragement, but also accountability, opportunities to learn new things, gain different perspectives, and ultimately increase confidence. It's where he seems to have relearned that amazing things can happen when you're not trying to go it alone.
Yeah, for anyone starting out, this is such a vital section of the story. It shows that the entrepreneurial path can feel incredibly lonely, and vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's part of the reality. Actively building a support network and dedicating time to managing your mindset are just as foundational as, the business plan itself.
Agreed. So once he began navigating those inner struggles, the focus seems to have shifted back outward specifically to how to set his business apart in what the sources describe as a sea of sameness.
Yes, this phase is characterized by a relentless pursuit of creative and innovative strategies. The accounts detail intense research, studying market trends, attending seminars and workshops, and seeking wisdom from other successful entrepreneurs.
And this led to a really interesting concept he developed, based on that research, infusing tension into marketing. Not in a negative way necessarily, but strategically creating things like urgency with limited time discounts, scarcity with restricted units, or exclusivity. It was about subtly exploring emotions, kindling desires, and sparking hope in the audience.
That's a fascinating tactical insight going beyond just listing features and benefits to engaging with psychological drivers. The sources also strongly emphasize the power of research and strategy here, truly understanding industry nuances and even strategically unmasking the vulnerabilities of his rivals.
And what's particularly insightful is how the books note this principle isn't just for business. You can apply it to personal challenges too. Identifying the weakness in an obstacle or even within yourself and finding a way to transform that vulnerability into an opportunity for strength.
Definitely. He clearly understood the importance of measurement for knowing what was working and viewed adaptation not as a burden, but as an art form. Embracing the unknown, being ready to swiftly adjust sails, and finding harmony within chaos. Continuous innovation and challenging the status quo became essential operating principles.
For aspiring entrepreneurs, this section feels like a real-world masterclass in competitive strategy and the ever-changing nature of business. It's not enough to have a good offering. You have to deeply understand the market, how to position yourself uniquely, and commit to constant evolution.
And as the business grew, Jay's challenges became more complex, extending beyond external markets. The sources delve into the difficulties of leading a growing company, especially when family dynamics get involved.
Yes, there's a detailed account of the dynamic with his son Marcus. The material describes conflict over the future direction of the company, Marcus wanting more control, and the emergence of trust issues between them. Later, his grandson Ethan enters the picture, bringing new ideas but also having to navigate these difficult internal family business situations. That adds a whole layer of complexity, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the books reveal the painful reality of internal betrayal within the leadership team. An executive is described as leaking sensitive information due to blackmail, and someone named Richard apparently selling them out to a rival.
Oof. The emotional weight of these betrayals is palpable in the descriptions: shattered trust, disbelief, anger, disappointment, and feeling deeply vulnerable. It forced the stark realization that significant challenges could emerge not just from competitors, but from within the very core of the empire he had built.
To counter this, the sources mention the critical need for transparency and actively reinforcing loyalty within the team following those executive departures. Jay also had to grapple with balancing his ambitious career goals with finding balance and fulfillment in all areas of his life and redefining his personal purpose within the context of this growing enterprise.
This just illustrates that scaling an entrepreneurial venture isn't just about systems and markets. It's intensely human. It means navigating complex relationships, internal politics, and the challenging intersection of family and business. Trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to rebuild, and internal threats can be just as, if not more, devastating than external ones.
Speaking of external threats, the sources vividly detail the intense competition Jay faced, specifically mentioning rivals like Richard, James Porter, and Vincent.
And these competitors employed some pretty aggressive tactics. The accounts describe anonymous leaks to the press aimed at painting Jay's company in a negative light, coordinated attacks on their supply chains, even cyber attacks on their digital platform. Wow.
Yeah, attacks from all sides. Jay's response to these external battles is depicted as being highly strategic, staying smart, being unpredictable, specifically hitting him where he's weakest, and critically taking control of the narrative. The sources highlight a particular press conference where he proactively addressed concerns, clarified the context, and committed to transparency to regain public trust and control the story.
So, fighting back strategically. They also mounted counteroffensives, digital responses, described as using the same methods they used against us but smarter. PR initiatives, reinforcing internal security, and preparing legal action. Alliances were explored, like the meeting with Song Jian, but the books also note the inherent risks involved, including potential leaks, even from trusted partners.
Right. And to regain and maintain the upper hand in these battles, they invested heavily in innovative initiatives like an AI data analytics platform and a global collaboration network. The sources note the necessity of running multiple high-stakes initiatives in parallel just to compete effectively. It sounds exhausting, honestly.
These weren't just business maneuvers. They were framed as battles for survival and the legacy of the company, facing enemies described as having far-reaching power and influence. For an aspiring entrepreneur listening, this section is a stark reminder that competition can be relentless and requires a sophisticated, multifaceted, and often aggressive strategic response that leverages every available tool, from technology to public perception management.
Finally, the sources bring us to the ongoing journey, reflecting on the evolution, the legacy being built, and the new challenges that arise, even at the, peak of success.
The books emphasize that Jay's journey became about much more than just financial success. It was the expedition itself, the trials, the triumphs, the people met along the way. The business evolved significantly, becoming a global enterprise, which demanded that he develop entirely new skills like strategic planning on a massive scale, cross-cultural communication, and global leadership.
That Global Collaboration Network initiative is specifically highlighted as an example of pushing boundaries in later stages, connecting people from different backgrounds, actively addressing barriers like language, culture, and access, and fostering relationships and trust at a global level, really recognizing the human element as paramount, even in a large enterprise.
However, even with a global enterprise, new challenges emerge, often from unexpected places. The sources mention the arrival of Vanessa, described as positioning herself as your equal, potentially a successor. This forces Jay to confront the weight of his age and actively question his continued leadership.
Yeah, it introduces a different kind of tension facing major strategic decisions with uncertain outcomes, even after decades of experience, and the need to trust his instincts when the path forward isn't clear-cut.
And the sources include that poignant moment near the end, a final encounter with the old man from his original neighborhood. It serves as a kind of full-circle reminder of where he came from and the quiet, powerful truth that the answers you seek are already within you.
It brings home the idea that the journey is truly far from over. The marketplace will inevitably evolve, new challenges will constantly arise, and the winds of change will continue to test resolve no matter how much you've built.
Mm.
Entrepreneurship, even at this level, is just a continuous process of learning, adaptation, and facing both external shifts and internal questions.
Wow, that truly was quite the deep dive into Jay's world. We saw the grit it takes to start from seemingly nothing, the profound power of building a business rooted in purpose and trust, and the constant, sometimes brutal, need to adapt and innovate.
Absolutely. From navigating internal doubts with mindset techniques and seeking support, to confronting complex family dynamics and battling fierce external rivals, Jay's story underscores that entrepreneurship is a relentless journey of growth, resilience, and strategic action. It's certainly not just about the destination, is it? It's the climb itself, and the constant readiness to face whatever comes next.
For anyone currently on their own entrepreneurial path, or even just considering starting, reflecting on these experiences, the successes, the crushing setbacks, the betrayals, and the unwavering determination offers an incredibly rich tapestry of hard-won lessons.
It really does. And perhaps the most powerful takeaway for you to consider right now, drawing from the full arc of his story, isn't just about external strategy or building a team. It's this. What deep-seated inner belief might be your greatest untapped strength, just waiting to be fully integrated into the foundation of your entrepreneurial journey?